Hey everyone. Afternoon. Um, I'm gonna talk about everything that Trump has campaigned on, and I'm gonna give y'all some ways to actually decipher the information and words that he used in his campaign to be able to tell what he is and isn't going to do. And this is something that you can use for anybody that's running on any campaign. Okay? And I can pinpoint and decipher these things because I grew up around a mother that was Republican. Okay? And I've mentioned that before on other videos. But with them, you have to read between the lines. And she would literally do this when she would say something to me. And this is lines. Okay, the lines between your fingers. Read between the lines. Okay? If she was to say something to me around somebody she didn't want them to understand what she was discussing or saying to me, she would do this. Okay? So I had to learn how to do that. Okay? Now, I don't know how to sugarcoat stuff. Not because I don't want to or haven't chose or figured out how to. I was just never taught. She just didn't sugarcoat shit with me. And I've told y'all before on other platforms that the things that would come out of her mouth would absolutely floor you. Okay? I've mentioned the word embezzlement before. And this is what I feel like he's doing. It is a white-collar financial crime in which a person lawfully entrusted with assets, which would be the American people and our tax dollars. Okay? He's entrusted with our money at the Department of Treasury. It is readily available to him. Okay? And in my opinion, one of the things that needs to be written into law by Congress is that unless the Department of Treasury gets a letter from Congress with the letterhead of Congress and everybody's signed and printed name, dated and timed, from each person that is sitting on Congress to release X amount of funds, whatever amount that would be, okay, then I don't believe the Department of Treasury should release any monetary funds to Trump or to any entity. And when the Department of Treasury gets that letter, excuse me, y'all, I'm sorry. When they get that letter at the Department of Treasury, then that money should go directly to that entity into an account that is only controlled by Congress. And unless Congress gets notification from whoever is over the funds and the books for that amount of money, then Congress should or shouldn't release that amount of money, and there needs to be an itemized list for what each thing is going to cost in total for that one particular product on each product, so they have a running total of how much they are supposed to be releasing to that entity or division. That will keep Congress in control of the purse. And it also says, entrusted with assets or funds fraudulently appropriates them for personal use. This man has released and taken control of billions of dollars of our taxpayers' money. He's using it for the 250 festival that he's got going. Okay? Big bullshit festival that is unnecessary. He's turned the White House property into trash. Period, point blank, flat out, full stop, bold face, 10 toes down. He's turned the property into trash. Alright. Now, the things that he has campaigned on in 2024 is populist and nationalist platform called Agenda 47. Populist, like a socialist. Nationalist. The only thing that's called a nationalist are white national supremacists. The white national supremacy. Read between the lines, man. You got to understand what these words mean. And it's a platform called Agenda 47. Which means that he has an agenda as the 47th president to do just exactly whatever in the Sam hell fuck he chooses to do. Okay? And this idiot has never been, in no way, shape, form, or fashion, an honest person. Ever. In his history. Immigration enforcement. Sweeping economic protection. Energy dominance. Rollback of federal culture and diversity initiatives. Okay? Now listen. Immigration enforcement. Okay. Fine. He wants to go through and start dealing with the immigration issue that could have... Some of it was when Biden did have complete and open borders. Is completely open borders something that I agree with? Not entirely. No matter who you are, or where you come from, or what country you go to, there are always checks done on you, anybody that you know that pops up in the system that shows that you're related to, anybody that you have been associated with, and in the United States it's called an NCIC, a National Criminal Investigation. National Criminal Investigation Check, I think is what NCIC stands for. Okay. National checks is for the United States. There are other background checks that are performed when someone from another country wants to come here. Do I agree that people should be able to come from other countries here to actually have a stable life, be able to go to sleep in their bed at night knowing that a militia isn't going to just kick in their door because the door's locked? Not all countries are entitled to a locked door like the people of the United States are allowed to legally have. Okay? And they're afraid to even go to sleep at night. They're afraid to even just get some rest. Do I believe that everyone should be able to lay their head at night and get some rest and not be in fear? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I believe that everyone should be allowed, human rights of being able to have food and make food affordable for everyone across the board? And when they do it affordably across the board, that is taking the total amount that is acquired and dividing it up by X number or whatever, okay? And they keep food at a certain price so everyone is able to buy something to eat. Medically, if you don't eat, your intestines do shut down. And they start shutting down one by one, okay? After a certain number of organs and intestines shut down, your heart will weaken. It'll stop beating like it's supposed to, and your heart will quit. Not having adequate nourishment legitimately and literally will kill you. And the son of a bitch and everything he's doing is he's trying to kill as many people as he can. And that's what I see happening. Okay? Immigration enforcement and, sweeping economic protections. When you sweep, you are sweeping away. Okay? You're sweeping something away. If you're sweeping your floors, you're sweeping away the dirt or the dust or whatever may be on your floor. You're sweeping it up. You're sweeping it away. You're getting rid of it. Energy dominance. He wants to control your electric. He wants your electric to go so high that you cannot afford it. And if you are renting an apartment or you are renting a house from someone, if they see that you're not able to pay your electric bill, they are going to automatically assume that you are not able to afford to be able to pay your rent. And they are going to do what they have to or want to in order to evict you. Look at Louisiana. They have made it illegal for you to be homeless. He is purposefully, intentionally, premeditatedly trying to make people homeless. These warehouses that he is claiming to be for migrants are not specifically for migrants only. They are doing this to have a place to shove everybody into if you were found sleeping on the streets. And if you are found sleeping on the streets, behind the buildings, behind a dumpster, somewhere inconspicuous, out of sight, out of mind, and you're seen and found, they're not going to just put you in a city or county jail according to what the laws are. They're going to stick your ass in these warehouses, and you are going to become undocumented because they're not going to let society or the government know where you're at. Do you understand? I don't care who you are, what you are, your affiliation to political views, to whatever religion you are, if you're non-religious, if you're non-political, or any, I don't care right now. I am informing you of what is to come. This is what I see happening. He's already went after other nationalities from other countries that were here. He is going after Democratic and independent voters. 50% of the entire country, the whole blanketed country, are African American Democrats. And he is trying to stop them from being able to vote because he knows when it comes midterms, with all this shit he's doing to everybody, he knows he's fucked. Okay? He knows. Rollback of federal culture and diversity initiatives. What does Walmart do in a rollback? They claim to take a percentage off of the regular cost of a product. They are removing a specific product or item from a certain cost. He is rollbacking a federal culture. What things are a part of federal culture and diversity initiatives? DEI, equal rights under the law for women of all cultures and nationalities, and the LGBTQ community, transgender people. He's trying to remove that. Just like your passports if you were transgender. He has made an executive order to force DHS to put your birth gender initial on your passport. When you do that, there is a dispute on your identity of who you are. When you go through a transgender change, if you are F to M, you change your male to a female name. If you are M to F, you change your female name to a male name. Okay, if you identify as a male through transgender, and you put an F on your passport, they're going to question your identity if you are legitimately who you say you are. And because there is a conflict with your identity, you're not going to be able to vote because you can't prove for a given fact that you are who you say you are. Unless they start running your fingerprints and you have been to jail for something as minor as a traffic ticket. Otherwise, your prints are not in the computer database under law enforcement. There is no legal way to prove who you are. You won't vote. They're going to stop you from being able to vote. They're going to be able to stop you from being able to travel out of the country, whether it be on plane or boat, ship, what have you. Okay? Now, fortunately, for me, personally, I don't really care to fly out of the country. I don't particularly care to fly after 9/11 at all. That's just me. Okay, and I'm saying that because look at the shit that's going on that Trump's doing right now. He wants to say America is the hottest country. Yep, he's sure right. America is the hottest country right now. We're on everyone's radar. Period, point blank, flat out, full stop, flat-footed, 10 toes down, chest pumped out. We are on everyone's radar. Understand that. Sealing U.S. borders. He is intentionally trying to prevent anybody from coming here that he does not approve of personally. He went after all of the Spaniard, Hispanic, cultured people, rather they're from Venezuela, Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, El Salvador. If you're not white, he doesn't want you here. He particularly has had the white African Americans people sent here. I read about it, and I heard about it on several podcasts and stuff like that. I genuinely do not know the number off the top of my head of how many people it was. But it's a lot. It's a whole lot. Okay? Launching the largest mass deportations of undocumented migrants in U.S. history. There are specific laws that allows for documentation of people being deported. And the way that he's going about it is completely against every law there is. He's just having the SS go around and just round everybody up, even U.S. citizens, because they're ICE Nazis, the SS, they're getting a kickback. Okay? On every person that they snatch off the street. They don't care who you are. They don't care if you're a U.S. citizen or not. They just want to snatch you off the street so they can get that money. That's why he's asking Congress for so much money. And because he's not getting a lot of that money, he is going to raise the amount of funding that he wants from other entities so he can take from that and give it to them. Okay? And then this 250 festival, all these people that are supposed to be coming and performing there need to understand. This fool has claimed bankruptcy on 6 businesses and has not paid those employees. The construction crew that came and demolished the East Wing, he has not paid them. He is not going to pay y'all. Everything for him is transactional. And when you go and perform at this benefit, he's going to say, oh, look at me, look what I did for America. I'm sorry, bitch, you ain't done shit for us. Nothing. Not a damn thing. Everything he's doing is to benefit himself. And none of it's looking good. Ending birthright citizenship. Think about that. How many people live here that were born here? Their mothers and fathers were born here. Their great-grandparents were born and raised here. These people even have grandkids and great-grandkids now from them that were born here. Think about it. How many people were brought here during the slave days from Africa? They don't have birth certificates. If they don't have birth certificates, as far as Trump goes, in the way he sees it, you don't have roots here. You have no legal standpoint of being here. I genuinely do feel like he's coming after the African American community next. Trying to deport you to a country you don't even belong to, belong at, been at, lived at, visited, toured, nothing. Because your whole life has been here in the United States, right here in America. And you have a birth certificate showing that you were born here. And on that birth certificate, it shows what state and county you were born in. Mine does. My birth certificate has a file number showing which file. And then there's a registration number on it for that particular year, or however they do that at the Vital Statistics. And it's printed out of their machine at the Vital Statistics on the paper that's got the state seal on that paper. And it's a color coded paper. I don't know how you would call it, but it's red and pink and all that, and it's got the state seal and all of the lace and embroidery and stuff on the edges of it, and it's got all that. That shows that you are a United States citizen. Regardless of what state you were born in, if you've got your birth certificate and you moved from Florida all the way up to Washington State, that birth certificate still accounts. It is a federal document. It is a government document because the paperwork has already got the state seal on it when it is put into the machines to print your information out on. And something else, real quick. When I went to the Vital Statistics to get a new birth certificate, because the one I've got is kind of tearing up a little bit because I've had it for so long, at the bottom, where it states I was born at, there is the letter I. Now, I don't know if it's I for the alphabet or if it's a Roman numeral 1. But I asked the lady at the Vital Statistics what that meant because I was always wondering about it. And I explained to her that I needed to get another one in case I had to have it in order to go vote. And I've got my old one, but it's tearing up and I don't want anyone to be able to say that it's been tampered with. So I got another one. She was telling me that unless there is that I, then you are not able to get a passport. Okay, now that's in Texas. I don't know about anywhere else. And I'm not for sure exactly how much this lady knows about it, but she said that she has dealt with it for years and dealt with numerous people that's had problems getting a passport because of their birth certificate. Okay? So, honestly, everybody needs to start checking your birth certificates. And if you see something that you just don't understand or you're unfamiliar with, make a phone call to the Vital Statistics. Or if you're out and about, pull on into a Vital Statistics and go ask questions. Find out about that. And luckily, for me, and not everybody has this, but with me being a former truck driver, I used to haul hazmat. Explosive, corrosive, flammable, biodegradable, just all kinds of chemicals, okay? I've been in the Dow chemical plants, loading, unloading, what have you. But when you drive an 18-wheeler, if you've got a hazmat endorsement, when you apply for that endorsement and you work for a company and you're at their terminal, the FBI comes to every class that is getting out and getting ready to go with the trainer, comes in and fingerprints you. I have been fingerprinted with the FBI 3 different times. I am in their system. Okay? So, fortunately, with me being in the system, I am very easily found and accessible. No matter where I'm at, what I'm doing, or if I even update my driver's license. No matter what, I can be found like that in a heartbeat. You know, I personally have no intentions, desire, or plans on ever doing anything illegal. Okay, I don't bother nobody. I don't hurt nobody. I don't do any of this shit. I stay to myself and stay home and do the best I can to get the bills paid and take care of my daughter. Period. Point blank, flat out. 10 toes down. Just be careful. Check on your birth certificate. Okay? Do what you need to do to cover yourself and be ready for midterms. Because there's no other way really to get this shit to stop. This is absurd. I don't know how the hell anybody expects someone else to be able to survive. And that's what people want. Just be able to survive and have enough money to pay the bills and get through the month and have sufficient food at the house in order to feed their family. They're not asking for anything impossible or out of the way. And nobody should be homeless. With the amount of money going into the Department of Treasury from our tax dollars, there isn't a damn soul that should be homeless at all. I don't give a flying rat's ass who you are. Illegally here, undocumented, working on getting your citizenship or anything. I don't give a damn. You should not be homeless. You should not have to be made to be homeless. It's inhumane. Expanding travel bans. That goes back to what I was talking about pertaining to LGBTQ community, okay, and trans people with the passports. There are females, biological females, that have tried to fly out of the country just for tourism purposes. Not because they're leaving the country permanently. They just go on vacation and want to go to another country and be a tourist and just see the country. Travel the country if they're able to. Learn different cultures, learn about their religion, learn about their history and things like that, okay? There are some things that just are not even in books. And it stopped them from actually being able to fly. It caused them a lot of problems at the airport trying to get on the plane. And then another thing that people don't think about that's not being talked about or mentioned is people that were adopted. I was adopted. Okay, I know my biological mother, know who my biological father is. I met my biological grandparents, but because I was adopted, I don't know a whole lot about my biological family. For the most part, I was kept away from most of them. Okay, I've met one of my uncles. My biological uncle is deceased. My biological father is deceased. My adopted mother is gone. My adopted father's gone. All my grandparents are gone. Okay, I've got a brother that's deceased. And my biological father was in the Army. He was a U.S. Army member. And my brother was a U.S. Army member. He was a medic. And they're both gone. So my family has served the country. And what he's doing is fucking wrong. Extending 2017 tax cuts, which is to the billionaires. Those are his buddies that has funded him. Okay, Amazon, Apple, I think Microsoft, and there's like 5 other entities. Okay, and then it talks about corporate tax cuts. And this is what he's campaigning on. Now let's think about that. Why do you think he's doing all that? Number one, because they fund him. They pay him off. He is a bought asset to numerous people. Numerous people. Putin, Netanyahu. Saudi Arabia. The prince was at the White House. Anybody that he's had there, anyone that he has had at the White House of a foreign nation, he is indebted to. I assure you. He has not had the president of Venezuela at the White House, and he bombed them. He hasn't had the Shah from Iran at the White House, and he bombed them. He's not had the leader of Greenland at the White House. He's talked about bombing them. He's not had the president of Canada at the White House. He's talked about bombing them. He's not had the president... Wait a minute. No. The lady president, I forget her name, from Mexico, I believe, has been at the White House. She gave him a peace prize or something that was given to her or something, if I'm thinking of the right person. But she's been there, but he did threaten to invade Mexico because of the cartel. He didn't specifically state anything about bombing them that I can recall. But everyone that he has bombed, their nation's leader has not been at the White House. And there was a reporter that had been at the White House during the time that the Saudi prince, don't know his name, ain't worried about it, don't care, don't give flying fuck, was at the White House. If you think back, roughly a year ago, this reporter, there was a news article that I seen it pop up on where she was found dismembered. And that was during the time that the Saudi prince was there, or maybe he had just left. Like, literally that day may have left. His encounter at the White House and her body being found dismembered, the timeline is too close together. Am I saying he did do it? I don't know. I cannot say he did or didn't. Logically, I was not there. But that's a woman. And he's talking about let me find it. Eliminating tax cuts on tips and Social Security benefits. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and jump to this right quick. Eliminating tax cuts on tips and Social Security benefits. He's not talking about eliminating the taxes on the Social Security benefits. He made two sentences into one. Eliminating tax cuts on tips, and it should be saying eliminating Social Security benefits, because that's what he's after. That's a part of reading between the lines with the Republican. Okay? Imposing large sweeping tariffs on foreign goods to encourage domestic manufacturing to bringing down inflation. When you dismantle trade from around the world with your own country, regardless of your country, your cost of living is going to go sky high. Period. Okay, he's not doing this to encourage domestic manufacturing. He's not. China has an EV, electric vehicle, that sells for $1,200 in China. And that's transferred over to American dollars. 1,200 American dollars would buy an electric vehicle. Trump wants to bring over their manufacturing company for the electric vehicles, which is going to cut them out, okay, of any profits, because the business will be here in the United States. And instead of these vehicles being $1,200, they're going to be $85,000 or $90,000. How much profit do you think that is? Think about it. That's a lot of extra money that you would be spending for an electric vehicle that was only $1,200 if you buy the vehicle from China. And then you pay the transport cost. But guess what? As long as it's in China, the United States has banned those vehicles from being here. And the tariffs, all that money that's being reimbursed to these companies should not be reimbursed to the companies. It should be added back onto the income tax claims from the U.S. citizens. Because when the companies pay these tariffs to purchase the product they need to put on the shelves in their stores and businesses, they raise their cost that the consumer pays when they buy that product. And then there's the tax on top of what you're already paying for. The U.S. citizens are paying the tariff costs back to that company for them to regain what they had to spend out to provide products to the consumer. These corporations are already getting tax cuts. Why do you think they're getting the tax cuts? They're doing that so they will vote for Trump. That's why they did it. The more people's asses he kisses and gives breaks and cuts to, the more these corporations like him and want him into office because they get more money coming into them. The owners, like Jeff Bezos. You know, the guy that let someone die in his Amazon building and told the other employees, don't worry about it, just go back to work. Morally, how the fuck do you do that? Just saying. These people know what's right and what's wrong. They just don't care. And the problem with them now is they refuse to admit that they were wrong, and that's what a Republican does. They will fight and argue with you all day long to the point you get so mad you literally want to pick something up and knock them out because they refuse to admit they're wrong. To anything. To anything. Even if it's something minor that your sister done. She will not admit to being wrong. Something that's not even political. She still won't admit to just being wrong. He, she, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, grandparents, if they're Republican, they will never admit to being wrong. At all. Ever. It don't make a shit what you do to them physically. They will still not admit to being wrong. They will take that to their grave. Dead ass serious. Foreign goods to encourage domestic manufacturing to bring down inflation. Yeah, the inflation was enhanced and brought up because of his tariffs. From the corporations charging the American people. And in order for that corporation to stay in business, they got to raise their prices to account for what they spent out on the tariffs. Maximize domestic fossil fuel production to achieve energy dominance. Again, he wants to control your cost of living. Everything. And the more money he can make someone spend out, the more he likes it because he is a sadist. He gets enjoyment and pleasure out of the torture and brutalization of humans and their families' lives. The more he sees someone suffer, the more he gets off on it. Revoking environmental regulations, which means he's taken away all of the protections that were put in place to make sure that our own oxygen, the air you breathe, doesn't cause you cancer. You know why? Because as long as there are environmental protections, they have to be funded in order to have the testing done to find out what is going to cause problems with the human life. And if he can stop the funding of that, then all of the regulations are defunded. All the testing stops. And they don't, and these businesses don't always have a scientist in there to check for all this stuff. So the companies, the people that own it, don't always know what is and isn't going to cause physical, medical, health conditions to people, which will kill you. It goes back, just like I was talking about with food. Without proper nourishment, you will die. Your body will shut down on you. If you don't believe me, that's okay. Look it up for yourself. And that's part of the problem with Republicans. They don't want to research nothing. They don't want to see the truth. They don't want to read the truth. They don't want to hear it because ignorance is bliss. And the more they can deny and fight back and say, oh, no, that's not true. He didn't do that. He won on a... No, bitch. Elon Musk had 10,000 radars, lasers, whatever you want to call them, from his satellites that messed with people's votes when they voted in 2024. Okay? Real shit. His girlfriend even admitted that he tampered with the voting process. She didn't physically outright say it. It was one of those situations that you have to be able to read between the lines. True facts. Look it up. Pursuing an America First foreign policy. There's nothing that he's done that's put America first. Nothing. He can't afford health care. He can't afford, our government can't afford to pay for that. But our tax dollars go to help fund that. Can't afford to pay for government funded health care or child care to help the single parents in order for them to be able to work. They have to have someone to keep an eye on their kid. They can't take their child to work like you could in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Hell, the 70s and even 80s, sometimes you could take your kids to work. You can't do that anymore. At all. It's a liability under the company's insurance, the liability insurance. Your job won't allow you to bring a minor child to work with you. Okay? Demanding NATO allies to pay more for defense and ending foreign conflicts. The only son of a bitches that are causing foreign conflicts is Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. Okay? Those two are the ones causing foreign conflicts. And if these other countries could afford to pay more, they would. But there's a lot of these countries that are listed as third world countries because they're a poor country. They don't have that money coming in. And they pay what they can to be a part of NATO so that their people are protected. And Trump is not even protecting the people of the United States. He's not. We're on everybody's radar. America is the hottest country. We're all being watched over here. And if all these countries that he bombed was to band together and come after the United States, we'd be fucked. Bottom line. Dismantle DEI, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. When you dismantle those, it removes the protections that the African American community has, not only with a job, their pay, a place to live, if someone rents to them or not. It does it to women. It does it to single women. It does it to the LGBTQ community. It does it to anyone and everyone that is not a white male or a white female married to a white male, which also is going to affect interracial marriages. It's going to affect the place for you to live. It's going to affect your job. It's going to affect how much you get paid. It's going to affect the hours you work. It's going to affect how you're treated if you go to the grocery store. All kinds of stuff. You're seeing it all over the news where someone is calling someone of the African American community a nigger. Okay? And genuinely, in my opinion, even the African Americans need to stop calling each other that, because the only way for that word to be forgotten, so to speak, is if it's never heard. If you don't repeat something, not that it isn't remembered, but it's less likely to continuously be a part of your daily life. And you will start looking at each other as the human race again. Okay? And I've got 2 personal face-to-face experiences that I have had with Republicans. 2. And I'll tell you about those here in a minute. Enacting policies, rolling back transgender rights and barring trans athletes from women's sports. Again, back to the women. Okay? Look at how many females he's fired. That has worked at the White House, worked in the federal government, worked for the FBI, worked at the DOJ, all this shit. Okay? Look at all the women he's had fired. Even the news media. He's looking to get rid of women. He's attacking female news reporters, calling them stupid people, bitches, piggy, dumb. He attacks women. Not just women of the Spaniard Hispanic culture, the nationality. He's done it to black reporters too. Black female reporters. He's done it to white female reporters. Project 2026 is going to attack women. They are coming after females. They want females to go back to the way it was in the 1940s, where you couldn't work, you couldn't have any money to yourself, you couldn't go to the grocery store without your husband, you or your father if you're an unmarried woman. You couldn't vote. You couldn't drive. You didn't have a driver's license. None of that. That's all women across the board. Black, white, Hispanic, Cuban, Caucasian, it doesn't matter. Anybody. Protecting constitutional rights, particularly gun ownership and religious freedom. To me, this tells me that he's going to come after our gun rights. All of these shootings that are supposed to be attempts on his life, that's all set up. It's all set up because he wants to try to prevent American people from owning a firearm. And the more these people feed in to what he's wanting them to do and try to act like it's an assassination attempt, the more ammunition y'all are giving him to come after gun owners. A gun is a defensive tool used in the correct and proper manner, date, and time. It is a defensive tool. And then, religious freedom, the only religious freedom he wants you to have is if you're a Christian nationalist. That is what he's pushing on everybody. Period, point blank, flat out, and simple, full stop. That's what he wants. A white nation under white nationalism. And if you're not white, he don't want you here. And that's who Donald Trump is. I can't stand him. He is the worst, most disgusting person I think I've ever encountered. Two people, Republicans, that I've encountered. One was at the hospital. We were talking about stuff with Trump and all this other stuff that's going on, and the health care and all this bullshit. And she was like, "So you support Biden and because and you like the open borders and that?" I said, "No, I don't agree with the borders being completely open and allow just anyone and everyone to come be a part of the United States. I do think that there should be background checks done on people to find out who they are, to find out if they are even the person they're saying they are." I don't totally agree with everything Biden done. But Trump has done a hell of a lot worse. You're laying here in the hospital because you've had a double mastectomy. And you have an infection and you've got blood coming out of your incision. And he's coming after your health care. But you support him. You support his agenda, his policies, his executive orders, what he wants to do. What sense does that make? Look at yourself right now. And I told her, I said, I'm not saying this because I'm being mean or rude or disgruntled with you. I just want people, everyone, to see who Trump is. Look at who this person is. Fuck the political party affiliation. Look at what he's doing to you. Has he done anything to make your insurance any better to help you survive this? You have an infection right now because of this. Take a look at this. I mean, really acknowledge this. And then there was another person that I encountered walk into my sister's house. Okay? My phone had been disconnected. The check didn't come in time because of Memorial Day holiday. The banks and stuff were closed. So the check didn't come in time. So I had to walk to my sister's because I couldn't reach her. My neighbor couldn't get a hold of her. So I had to walk over there. I've got neuropathy in both feet, both legs, degenerative disc disease, 6 screws, metal plate in my neck, heart conditions, all this stuff going on. 2.5 mile walk isn't necessarily easy for me, but I will do it. I'm just stubborn like that. I'm hard-headed like that. I'm going to do what I have to get done. I seen this man sitting in a 5.0 Mustang. Badass paint job, a purplish blue color. He was turned sideways where his feet were sitting on the ground and he was messing with his phone. And I thought, hey, I could ask him to see if he would give my sister a call and see if she'll come get me. Meet me halfway or something. I had on my hat and it says, fuck Trump. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Left, right, middle, center, up, down, don't matter. You're entitled to your opinion and your feelings about something. Never went out of the way, never yelled at him, never cussed him, was never rude, none of that. I just simply asked him if he would mind giving my sister a call because my phone's cut off right now. Yeah, what's your number? And I'm standing back a little ways because I don't want him to feel uncomfortable because he doesn't know me. So I started telling him the number, and I gave him the area code. He dialed it in. Gave him the next 3 numbers. He dialed it in. And I started to give him the last 4, and he was like, what? And we were by a street, so I thought, well, maybe he didn't quite hear me. I took just a small little step forward, and I kind of raised my voice just a little bit. Still wasn't yelling at him or anything. I just wanted to make sure that I was speaking clearly and he could hear me, out of respect. And as soon as I started telling him the last 4 numbers, he's like, we're done. Get out of here, you're done, we're done. I took my hands and touched my pockets, pulled my pockets away, and I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not doing anything to you. And I just kind of looked around and didn't see nobody around me except for my daughter. This dude went off his fucking rocker. They want to talk about Democrats being psychologically off their hinges. No, I'm sorry. The ones that have seemed like they're having mental issues are the Republicans. The MAGA base. Period. Real shit. This dude flipped his fucking wig. All I could do was shake my head and just think, what the fuck? I told him Karma's a bitch. And I walked off. He got out of the car, shut the door, locked his car, and went inside. Like he was legitimately fucking afraid of me. I don't put my hands on nobody. I don't do anything to anyone. I barely interact with anybody. This dude went off the fucking rails. Wow. He spazzed the fuck out. Anyway, protecting constitutional rights, particularly gun owners. He's not protecting anybody's constitutional rights. If anything, he's violating them. And I've got a list of all of the constitutional rights he's violated. I've been writing this shit down. All the way down to the freedom of speech, which the First Amendment gives you. The freedom of fair press, which is provable information, factual information that's going on in the world. This is one way that people find out what's happening. A lot of the reporters that you used to see on the news has gone to independent journalism. They run a podcast. It is on YouTube. There is a guy that goes by the name of William Sasha Riley that is a Trump survivor. Where this person is, I don't know. I know that he was a part of the military at one point. He was being interviewed by a woman out of Canada. And there was some things mentioned about Trump. And this guy even said that Trump is the head of the snake, that he is a very sadistic, demonized type person. And he gets enjoyment out of torturing people, hurting them in any way possible, physically, financially, medically, being able to keep them from being able to buy food, making them end up being homeless. Any kind of torture he can cause on anybody, psychologically, it doesn't matter. He gets pleasure out of that. And when he was told, there was, in the White House, they were talking about Renee Good being executed in her car. He heard what they said. He called her a terrorist. And he just kind of dozed off. Didn't faze him. He don't give a shit. And I've said it before that he don't care about you. He don't care about anyone but him. All these people that are doing his bidding, all of these illegal acts, doing whatever the fuck Trump wants them to do, they are not clicking to the point that the only one that has immunity is him. And that's only while he's in the White House. Okay? There are going to be consequences for everyone that he's been involved with that has committed a crime. For him, under him, and to other people. Why do you think Peter Thiel is leaving the country? Why do you think he relocated his family to another country? And if I'm remembering right, that country does not have an extradition treaty with the United States. I could be wrong. I'll have to double check on it, but I believe they don't. So, and then look up the 2024 Republican Party platform. Okay? This platform will go into a lot more detail on the things I'm talking about. The Capitol insurrectioners trying to come after the slush fund. $1.776 billion. Let's get the hell off of this. It is embezzlement. That's why he dropped the case, because he was called out on a collusion. A fraudulent case that he was wanting a judge to sign off on. It's fraud. It's embezzlement. And he was trying to do it in their face like he's done everything else. The Capitol insurrectioners. It is a riot. It is not an assembly. It is not a protest. These people caused destruction to federal property. They defaced federal property. The Capitol Police had the doors locked and the windows locked. It's called breaking and entering of federal property. Murder of police, which is a capital murder, mind you. Okay. And the charges should be a lot stronger because they worked at a federal building. They were securing the federal workers, which is Congress. Okay? And a federal building, which is the U.S. Capitol. Okay? And then they committed deadly assaults. They killed these officers with a deadly weapon. Even a flagpole is considered a deadly weapon if you kill somebody with it. A pin can be considered a deadly weapon because it can be shoved in someone's neck to kill them. Any object you have that can cause bodily harm can be considered a deadly weapon. Possessing a deadly weapon inside and on federal property, which is a felony. You can go into a gas station with a gun, in a holster, licensed. In some states you have to have license. In Oklahoma you have open carry regardless, one way or the other. But it has to be holstered. Possessing a deadly weapon inside of a federal building. Non-peaceful assembly on federal property, which is against the United States Constitution. You're allowed to protest and demonstrate peacefully, which means no damages to property or persons. And Trump was the architect of the insurrection. And the tariffs should not be returned to the corporate owners because the corporate owners raised their prices in order to obtain the money back that they spent out in order to get the product that they need to run their business, to sell to the consumers, and to keep on their shelves. When the customers buy this product, they not only pay the increased price, which pays back the amount of money that the company paid out to obtain the product, but there's also a tax on what you're paying for, included. Before you get your paychecks, you're paying state and federal tax. You go to the grocery store, you pay the price for the food that you buy plus tax on that. Okay? You use your card now to have to pay your rent. There's a percentage charge for using your card. There's a tax on top of that. Half of our fucking checks are going on taxes. And these billionaires want to bitch and moan and groan and complain because they're actually being held accountable to pay the amount of taxes that they should actually be paying in accordance to the amount of money that they have coming in, just like anyone else does. To keep them from trying to have to pay those taxes, they have bought 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 fucking houses, 3 and 4 and 5 fucking cars. Donald Trump it's been known for us to hear about Trump owning houses in other countries. All this amounts to is them trying to have to keep from being able to pay an increased amount of money or taxes on the money they've got. What the fuck is wrong with you folks? And then they turn around and try to write shit off as a tax write-off as a charity. I had a text message come across my phone on Messenger saying that I was, how did they put it? Something about being number such and such to comment, and I won whatever it was, and that all I have to do is say yes or whatever, and they were going to give me $500,000 in a fucking Tesla. And I've still got the screenshot, by the way. I commented, no thanks, no. I don't want a damn thing to do with Elon Musk. I don't want a damn thing to do with Donald Trump. I don't want a damn thing to do with Jeff Bezos. I don't want a damn thing to do with the guy that owns and runs Facebook. You're all in bed with Trump. The next message I got was, huh? Yeah. They try to buy people off. And if you are getting any money from them in any kind of way, shape, form, or fashion, you have just been bought. And in order to get that money sent to you, you have to provide your full name, your birth date, your address, all that shit. They know where you are. They know where you live. You just gave yourself up. And if you think you're safe and they're not going to come after you because you support them, you better guess again. I've done told you that he said in his campaign that he doesn't care about you. All he wanted was your vote. That he used the Republicans' wants and needs and desires as a campaign slogan and blew smoke up your ass just to get you to vote for him. And now he just recently come out and said that he don't give a damn about the America's financial standpoint or situation. How does that make you feel? I told y'all this way back. He just now came out with it. Keep laughing at me because I get some of you people in my comments with laughy faces. Ha 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 ha. That's okay. Go ahead, keep laughing. You're going to laugh your ass right on into debt. I'm just saying. Get on the right side of history. Make sure you're registered to vote. If you're not registered, go register.